Can we act like idiots?
I mean, feel free to turn your camera on if you want.
Oh, you want me to turn my camera on?
Are we live? When are we going live?
We're not live yet. Don't worry about it. This is off air.
Are we doing a pre-chat?
Okay, we're off air. Okay.
I thought we were doing a pre-chat and we were going to be live.
Why does it say on my phone that we're live?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Are we live?
Anyway.
I don't know. Who's texting me?
I have no idea. Hold on a second.
Oh, this is professional. Very professional. Oh, what's up, Mr. Galloway Precision himself, Brandon? How are you, sir?
Good.
And thanks for joining us for this mess. I'm not even sure what this mess is.
Really, I don't either. I mean,
don't worry. I'm about to make it worse.
We got Snickers and peanut going at it over there.
Yes.
Look at that.
I walked in. I said, you've got to be kidding me. This is a joke.
I didn't.
Let's go live, dogs. Go nuts.
Close the.
Are we live?
Hey, Brandon's talking.
So it would go away. So I just took a picture of my cell phone picture.
Oh, yeah,
Perfect.
Been there.
The little things when you talk go up beside it. That was the cue to talk.
Oh.
Are we actually talking?
Start this thing.
You want to tell everybody what we're doing right before we go live?
You tell them.
All right. Well, when we go live, are we live?
I don't know.
I think we're live.
Okay.
All right. This is the pre-chat. This is the pre-podcast Trigger Plus P. Feel free to stack up any questions that you want to ask Brandon from Galloway Precision. When this on the YouTube version we're gonna have a pre-chat on the YouTube. We're going to cut the podcast out of the middle of it. We'll upload that, and then we'll have the post chat. So the YouTube version is pretty much the behind the scenes to get to the podcast that we're going to start uploading. I have you guys thought about what platforms? I've heard a lot about Podbean. I don't know about getting them on iTunes and stuff. I just don't know yet. That's part of the research we got to do before NRAM.
Yeah, we probably need to figure that out.
Yeah. So you guys are behind the scenes right now. Why is Gibbs texting?
I don't know.
Hey, G23, what's up, buddy?
Because he's not subscribed to anybody, apparently. That's why Gizzard's texting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So, you see, what was it? You're logged in as Brandon Langston, right? That's how you're logged in. So,
yeah.
If anybody, you got any questions for Brandon, you guys are all pros at this. Just do the @Brandon Langston and see how he spells his name, and make sure it's correct. So it'll pop up. So we make sure that we see it. And as we're interviewing him, when we get started, if you got a good question, we're going to throw it up on the screen, and we're going to try to run this about 60 minutes before we get, and then we'll get into some special questions, and we may even have I don't know, maybe a lightning round. I don't know, but we're gonna have that going. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go live at 9:05 or 9, or we can go early? Everybody's already in here. Does it say how many are here? Oh, a whole 7 people. But this really isn't for YouTube. This is more for the podcast.
We've got 8 people watching.
Oh,
wow.
We're kicking butt.
That's okay, but it's...
Of course, we put it on we did do this on a channel that only has like 23 subscribers.
It's got 90. Oh. We couldn't have done it on mine or yours or anything. Oh, it's up to 9.
No.
But we purposely put it directly on here to try to start building things up on this other channel.
All right, you ready to start it? Let's start it.
Yeah, and like I said, we're gonna edit in the nifty intro that Fine Ape recorded for us. I just don't have it done yet. Do you want to say it, Snob?
No, I don't want to say it.
All right.
I don't remember it.
Fair enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. That's all I remember.
Trigger Plus P.
All right, I'm going to do a little intro, and we're going to start the clock. What time is it? It's 8:57. It's going to be 8:57 is when we started, so we can kind of keep an idea. We want to try to keep it to 60 minutes. So, all right, I'm going to welcome everybody right now, and that'll be the start of it. You ready?
Yep.
We good? All right, here we go.
Are we live?
Really? Really?
Yes.
How about 58?
You wanted me back.
Do you want to do an even 9 and we'll just get all this out of our system?
9 is not even.
Yeah, 9's odd.
Yep. We're starting at 9. Brandon, do you see what you got yourself into?
Everybody just sit here
I
quietly.
know.
Just sit here quietly till 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's
Talk
no
amongst
quietly.
yourselves.
There's no quietly. Hey, we got
The
10. Every time we.
the peanut is neither a pea nor a nut.
Wow.
I'm getting verklempt.
Wow.
So,
All right.
who asked for who? Really?
I like the private chat. That's funny. Let's go. It's 10 p.m. Oh, it's not. It's 9.
Oh, we're pushing it back an hour now.
Yeah. You know, I thought I had the. You want to hear something funny? I thought I had the coronavirus this evening.
Well, stay the fuck away from the shop.
Oh, no. Okay. But
I think we're not live yet.
I was hot and sweaty and couldn't breathe. It was fun. It was funny. I quit running and I started feeling better.
You can't be messing around with my feelings like that, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had it for a little while, but I got better.
Dude, Mike, no lie. When we came down the day they announced that, when we were leaving shot that Thursday, we come downstairs. We were staying at the Gold Coast because we're cheap. And there were just Asian people in masks everywhere. Like literally everywhere in the hotel we were at and the casino. Like every time I turn around, I'd hear somebody be like, ah, and I'm like, oh man, we're so screwed. We are so screwed. And then I got the flu the same weekend I got back.
You too.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say I wasn't concerned. I'm like, there's actually a chance.
Yeah, I was not pleased about that. I was not pleased.
This is how I check out. Oddly enough, get the coronavirus at SHOT Show. This is it for me.
You're right. I can imagine that funeral.
What? Everybody wearing masks?
I know, right?
That's the way it is. You ever seen pictures out of China and Japan? Everybody's in a mask.
Oh yeah.
It's because they're all crammed together.
Except because there's so many people.
Yeah, that and the fact that like China, I mean, the pollution alone, you need to wear something.
Before we go live, we should talk to Rich. Rich White, baby.
Doom 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 doom.
All right, let's go live and quit monkeying around before we lose people.
Well, we're gonna wait till it goes exactly 9 o'clock.
It's close enough. Go.
No.
Go.
No.
Do it. Do it now.
Close enough.
So save your questions up. Give us about 5 minutes to intro, then you can start asking questions. And I'm waiting.
Who put Sarge in charge?
I put myself in charge because no one was posting
in
it.
charge of me.
No one was posting it. I told you I already came up with a solution. We're gonna come up with a neutral account.
Oh, Gary says now, and Gary's an executive producer.
Yeah, we need to add him in as the director. All right, ready? All right, here we go. Welcome everybody to the Trigger Plus P podcast. This is the first one, hopefully one of many. This is Sarge here in North Carolina, and secondly, the other, I wouldn't be halves, the other thirds of Trigger Plus P, Obnoxious One. Say hello.
Hello.
And the Gun Snob.
Well, hello there. Welcome.
There you go. All right. I like I said, we just need to chat this up and talk. I'm not really hosting this, but I'm the one that's talking first, just because it's I got the mic. So, what are we going to do here tonight? What are we going to do in this podcast?
Well, we're going to ask this guy down here in this corner with his Galloway Precision logo just who he is and what he does. So, who are you and what do you do?
I'm a stranger
down there.
This is Brandon with Galloway Precision. Most of you probably know my voice if you've bought our parts and watched the videos. Camera wouldn't do any good because you probably just know my hands. But, yep, I am the lead gunsmith, holster maker, and social media manager for Galloway Precision.
All right, now, and then let me ask you a question. Galloway Precision is located where?
We're in Fletcher, North Carolina, just outside of Asheville.
And how long have you been with Galloway?
This May I'll have been there 6 years. The company's been open for 11.
Okay. All right. I've got a few questions here written down just to for us to get to know a little bit more about you. When did you first get into guns? And then as we work our way up through the years, we'll get into a little bit more about Galloway here in just a second. When did you first get into guns?
It's just growing up where I grew up at. Nobody knows the name of the town unless you grew up there. It's Carl Junction, Missouri, but it's right outside of Joplin. So the way people, yeah.
I live just about an hour from Joplin. Go there all the time.
Yeah, see. So well, then you would probably know Carl Junction, so you know what I'm talking about. Now think about it back in the 80s and 90s when I lived there. Well, that's where I grew up. So, Snob knows, being in the Midwest, guns are a way of life. I mean, everybody hunts, everybody shoots. You start learning to do that kind of stuff at a young age. My uncles were huge into hunting. My uncle Danny, who lives in Chillicothe, Missouri, would take me duck hunting all the time. I'd go up there. He's the one who taught me to shoot shotguns properly. And you know what he started me with? Shooting clays, a 410 double barrel side by side. Oh yeah. Oh, it makes it real hard.
If you can shoot clays with that, you can shoot clays with anything. See?
Yeah, if you can
shoot a shot with a 22 long rifle.
Yeah, if you can shoot clays with that, you can shoot a duck out of the sky with a 12 gauge, no problem. And then, it just kind of grew from there. When I was a kid, I always liked to take things apart and put them back together. And it all started young with stuff like that. We had the neighbor had a shop. I got into doing stuff like that. I had family that worked on guns and just went from there.
So where did you learn the trade? I mean, besides being self-taught, where did you learn the trade?
Mostly, just honestly, a lot of the self-taught stuff. There was a few family members I learned a lot from. There was a neighbor I had in town that was a World War II vet who was also a certified gunsmith, and so he taught me a lot of stuff. And then when I was in the military, just picked up a lot through there because, learning all about that stuff just being in. And then when I got out is when I really started pursuing, a lot of it. And anyone who lives around here knows who Phil Flack is. And he's a mentor of mine, sometimes unwillingly, I think. But, just it's one of those things, too, that has always come naturally to me. I don't know why. It just does. And so it suits me really well, I guess you could say.
So how did you end up in North Carolina, being in the middle of Carl Junction, Missouri?
When I was about 16, my mother was married at the time to my stepfather. That's a whole nother not good story for another time. But anyhow, he was headhunted, so we moved out here. My mother started working out here. So I moved here when I was probably 16, 17 years old. Like 96, 97. I want to say 97. Not long enough that it's getting hazy how long I've lived here.
So was Galloway your first actual gunsmithing job, or did you work other places before that as far as a gunsmith?
Mostly doing things for myself. I did a little bit out at Bear Arms for a while. Worked at a couple other little shops just here and there. Did mostly side work because, when I first got out of the military, I just really wasn't into dealing with guns. At the time, I just, I was a 26-year-old kid when I got out, so I owned guns, but I wasn't really ready to jump back into that game yet, and ended up marrying, having a family, and I stayed home with my firstborn until she went to kindergarten. And that's when she was 5 is when I decided, I can't just sit around the house. I'll go and sing. And so I started working at Carolina Guns and Gear over on Sweeten Creek Road, and I was their in-house gunsmith.
I know where that is.
Yep. And I was there in-house gunsmith for, I hope them open the store. From the time it was just 2-3 guns on the shelf when they first got the building to what it is now. And the thing I liked about working there a lot was the fact that, you know, they allowed people to handle the weapons. You could go behind the counter. It was a new idea for where we were.
That's what I was going to say. That is the only place I have been where the pistols, they're like on a wall behind the counter, but there's a big space. You don't really, you kind of feel like you're going behind the counter, but there is a big space. It's not like, and you're like, can I go check that one out? They're like, go ahead, just go look at them. You actually get to go and handle the pistols. You don't ever get to do that anywhere.
No.
So that's very unique.
That was one of the reasons why when I first started there, I was pretty excited to work there because, you know, getting back into what I wanted to do, it was, you know, a new thing. It was very interesting because mostly around here, the big thing, and Sarge knows this, he lives in the South with me. He actually lives not too far from me. If I crossed Newfound Mountain, I'd be over in Waynesville because I live out in Leicester now. But the big thing was allowing people to handle weapons because a lot of the stores you would walk into around here, you know, people would walk in and be like, my wife would like to purchase a gun, and the salesperson would look instead of at the woman, at the husband, and be like, well, what you want to get her? And we didn't do that. We were completely opposite. They'd walk in and say, my wife needs a gun. And I'd tell them, you know, go sit down. I need to talk to her, not you. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that it kind of had a ripple effect in the gun community sales wise around here years later because now you're seeing it more and more.
I'll ask you a follow-up question right there. What was like some of the main mistakes you saw the husbands make if they did try to speak for the wife?
Well, you know,
for herself, what mistakes would they make?
The biggest thing would be that they would want to get like an airweight 357. And most of these people themselves have never shot an airweight 357. And so I don't know who here has. It is not a pleasant experience because you're dealing with an airweight Smith & Wesson J-frame, which is already a very, very small pistol. And then you're putting a 357 Magnum load in it and shooting it out of a 1 5/8 inch barrel. That's
a handful.
That is completely pleasant. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to respond as fast as I can, guys.
Oh, you're good.
You're good.
For whatever reason, my typing is not showing up.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, we'll just do this. Yeet cannon, Kingpin, yeet cannon. Once we get the new one in our hands, we're already talking to High Point. So once we get the new one in our hands, the newest one, we'll start developing parts for it. But we did one for TFB TV that they're going to be doing a video on shortly. So that'll be like the Gen 1 yeet cannon, I guess. Yeah, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to. It's getting late, and I hear my toddler. Well, it's not getting late. For my toddler, it's getting late, and I hear at the door, Daddy.
Now, you were talking about the place you were at where they had all the guns out, and the place that I used to live by when I lived up in Illinois, Marengo Guns, they had every gun that they had was not in. They didn't have any display cases there. Yeah. Everything they had was on the walls in the shop, and they probably had 150, 200 guns there.
Oh, yeah.
And they had them all, they were all tethered, you know, kind of like at SHOT Show where everything's got a tether on it. But you could walk in there, and of course it's Illinois, so you had to have your FOID card. So they just
get in?
Pretty much.
It's a swipe it?
Yeah.
So,
and you could just walk around that store and you could pick up guns all day long.
And see, and I think that's what, you know, obviously there are certain certain stores and certain situations and certain places, that's not going to work, and I get that. But I think it's a model that a majority of mom and pop shops all the way up to the big boys really ought to follow, because you're going to sell more that way. Because people, when they can grab what feels good in the hand and be able to handle it, run, rack it, drop the mag, put a mag in, just basic stuff, they're more likely to find and buy a pistol from you.
Well, yeah, when they don't have
somebody else.
Some old dude standing over the counter, handing them one at a time, and then watching every move they make.
Exactly, and it's a much more enjoyable experience. It doesn't make you already feel, because there's first-time gun owners. That was a big thing we ran into. There was, we had a lot of transgender customers, and we didn't treat them any differently. There were other gun stores in town that did and lost their business because of it.
When you've got a first-time customer, you can make or break them right there as to whether they want to really adopt the gun culture.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. You can make or break them right there.
So how did you get hooked up with Galloway?
So again, working at Carolina Guns and Gear, Eric would come into the store, and he was about at the time where he was deciding that he was going to do it full time from home, because the business started literally at their kitchen table in 2009. And so he had been in the store a bunch, and he saw how I handled people, and saw some of the work I did through the store on people's guns. And a lot of what I did too at the time was all what would be considered, I guess, classical gunsmith, like working on, old shotguns, old rifles, mostly doing a lot of restoration of old stuff and working on some new stuff. So, I talked, I turned in my 2 weeks, and no one heard for him. And I get there, and now bear in mind, I had never touched an LC9 before, ever, except to sell it to people. Just because I'm not really a big Ruger guy. Always preferred Springfield 1911s or SIG polymers. And at the time I was carrying which Springfield was it? Yeah, it was one of my Springfield 1911s. Either way, that's not here or there. So I looked at this thing, and he goes, and here's the kit that goes in it. And I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, what in the world is going on in here? And then I pull it apart, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, well, this is a pretty simple design. Well, when he hired me in, because it was just him, and he was still working full-time up until 6 months before he hired me, there was a backlog of like 200 pistols that I worked through in about a month and a half. And it just really went from there. And we're really starting to get into a lot of stuff that, I've been waiting to get into for years. And a big part of it is because we go where our customers want us to make stuff. So, the stuff with Sorry USA, the stuff that we're getting ready to do with Rock Island Armory 1911 pistols. I mean, there's just so much stuff out there that we're getting ready to come out with that we're going to be doing this year. And it's all driven because the customers want to see
it. Ghost has a question out there for you. He said, I've heard good things about your M&P. Well, now my chat just jumped. He said, I heard good things about your M&P Shield 9 barrel. Can you talk about it?
Unfortunately, the company that we bought that from, True Precision, that wasn't ours. We didn't make that. We actually bought those from True Precision. They were the first ones to make a mass-produced Shield 9 threaded barrel that would work in both the first and second gens. Well, come to find out, they're not going to make them anymore, because right now they're concentrating on the P365, and just the demand for the Shield died off. So unfortunately, we just can't get those anymore. That being said, though, I haven't got a chance to try it yet, but Lone Wolf has an Alpha Wolf series of barrels for the Shield, both the 9, 40, 45, and they actually thread all three. So that would probably be a better choice.
Now, G23 out there in the chat asks, how much do you charge for an RMR cut?
For the RMR cut, it is $135, and that's because we include the RM63 ceiling plate, because a lot of people will buy the RMR and not realize that it doesn't actually come with that. And so you have to have that, or they will not. Let's say remember a couple of years ago they had some of the Type 2 models that were shorting out, or was it Type 1? One of the models was shorting out badly, and they ended up tracing the problem to people not using the ceiling plate, which that's neither here nor there. I think that was maybe a cop-out, but I think they just got a bad batch out there, and it happens, man. It does, I understand. But anyhow, it's $135 for the cut. That includes the RM63 ceiling plate, and the only optics that we special thread for are the Delta Point and the gutter snipe that we do now. And that is because we have to. Everything else we do 632. So in case you strip a screw, or you need another one for whatever reason, you can literally go to any hardware store and pick one up.
Has the demand for slide cuts gone up lately?
Oh, it's gone up quite a bit. And there's a lot of people that think it's a fad, and in all honesty, it's not. I have astigmatism, both eyes. I wear glasses, the whole 9 yards, and I turned 40 this year. And as I notice as I'm getting older, that my eyes are just it's harder and harder to pick up the front sight, and even with a fiber optic or anything like that. And once you start shooting with an optic on a pistol and you get used to it, it's a whole new experience, and it is awesome. And it really, once you get used to the draw, and you got to put your time in, you got to train with it. You can't just put one on there and be John Wick. That's not how that works.
Yeah, when you first grab it and pick up your first pistol with a red dot,
it's here somewhere.
Yeah, it's like exactly. Where is it? Where'd it go?
It's all over the place.
And what you'll see too is a lot of people make the mistake of what you see with rifle optics. You'll notice when people do it, how they move their head around instead of moving the rifle around. Well, that's the same concept with the pistol. You move the pistol and the optic to your line of sight where you want it, not the other way around. And so a lot of people get that frustration and just give up on it instead of learning the application of it, because once you become proficient with it, it's really hard to go back and shoot iron sights. It honestly is.
Once you get, you get real spoiled real quick.
Oh yeah.
Once you get used to them, that's G23 has a follow-up question. He's asking if that price included Cerakote or is that extra?
Cerakote is extra, but the way that I run the Cerakote is it is a flat $100 fee, and some people scoff and go, "Oh, that's expensive," but in that flat $100, that includes up to 1 pattern and 3 colors. So,
that includes plates.
The plates, not yet.
Okay,
the big thing with the plates is we've got to get more printers, to be quite honest. We've got 4 right now, and we're barely keeping up. So once we get a 5th printer, possibly 2 more, depending on how sales keep going, which are skyrocketing. So thank you, everybody out there. We appreciate that much more than you realize. Once we get another printer capability is because honestly, with what we can do with that printer and at the cost, doing a fiber filled one and have the same rigidity of aluminum, it just doesn't make sense to do it out of aluminum and charge more when we can get the same performance out of a decent part that we can print custom to the cut, and out it goes. Elite trigger. Yeah. Well, for the elite, yeah, it would definitely be better for competition, mostly just because of the simple fact that you've got the flat face. One of the things we're looking at this year is there's 2 more triggers we're going to do in aluminum or 3D print and steel, and both of them are going to be the Canic triggers. So that's one of the things we're looking at, because the big thing we're running into with the Canics is a lot of variation with the trigger bar and no way to track it down. And it's not every single one. Is the problem that I run into trying to track stuff down is it's like 1 in every 50 guns presents something. Oh yeah, we've got the rat rod. Sorry, finish on the Canic. Yeah,
yeah. Just because I put the text up there, we can get to it. No, don't feel like you got to rush through it.
Yeah, it's like a squirrel, man. Like, oh, squirrel.
Maybe the host shouldn't be slapping it up there.
Just slapping them up as soon as they come up. And
no. I waited, but if I don't put it up there, I'll forget about it. I'll be a squirrel.
So yeah, for the elite, the Hefe is definitely geared more towards the competition for the SF elite than it is for like carry. I would say now the SF. Well, no, it'd be a good carry. I have to look at it from both sides. I like it for both, to be quite honest. That's what I try and incorporate into things that me and Eric work on, and what Eric designs. We both try to incorporate something that we would be able to carry on a daily basis. But if we want to go to the range and play, we can.
All right, let's see. Where was that other question? He was asking. There it is.
Parts for the Yeet cannon. Yes.
You already make some, don't you? I was looking on the site.
Yeah, we've got the flat face rat rod trigger for it. We've got stainless steel guide rods. We've got the one thing we were trying to work on was an extension, but I see why Red Ball did it the way they did. You just can't. That goofy mag design is just, there's just no way to extend it. We mill them, believe it or not. we mill quite a few of them. People think it's a joke until they send it in and they get it back, and it's actually professionally milled, and they're thinking, "Oh wow!" And
I mean, I know a guy who put a pick rail on the side of his high point. I mean, I'm just saying.
There is that.
You should offer that. I mean,
if you want your true street cred, you gotta have the GS special, which is directly attaching the pick rail to the side of the weapon.
Yeah, you can drill and tap those slides just fine while they're on the gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We may need a disclaimer obnoxious.
But here's the thing. In all honesty,
ladies and gentlemen, performed by the Gunsnob is gunsmithing by the Gunsnob, and the Gunsnob recommended gunsmithing from anything to do with any kind of actual professional business.
I'm sorry. We had to get that out there. Continue, Brandon. We had to get that out there from his bad advice.
Probably the best. No, I mean, the thing with the high point is it's ugly, it's cheap, but it runs, man. Everybody's always talking about these horror stories and this, that, and the other. Dude, as long as I've been doing this, and I've owned several high points, the one that's in the pictures on the website is mine. That thing's like 12 years old, and it still runs. You don't do anything crazy to it. Say again.
I've always heard that about high points. I've always heard they're ugly, they're boat anchored, they're god awful to take down, but they run.
They do, and that's just it. And here's the funny thing: just like any other pistol in the world, you feed it good ammo, it'll run. The majority of these people that you see getting problems, they're feeding it stuff like Tula, Cellular, and Bella, like garbage ammo. Just because it's ugly and looks like something you would use for a boat anchor doesn't mean you don't feed it good ammo. And that's the big thing I preach, and people never want to listen to me. It's always this, it's always that. But the reality of it is a majority of the issues people have issues with is because of the ammunition they're using.
Now, before you get to Kingpin's question, I have an important question when we're on the topic of cheap guns. Have you seen the Altor pistol?
I have not.
You need to go watch my videos on it. I have videos on it.
You got enough people
after
watching
that,
your video.
you need to make me some parts for the Altor. I happen to have an Altor pistol.
Part. There is no parts.
I mean, it's got all 6 parts. It needs a longer grip.
You need to make me part for the Altor.
Yeah. It needs a longer
gun.
Hey, did you hear that Jimenez finally went bankrupt?
I heard that.
Yeah. They owe like 1.9 million.
I thought I heard they got
Jimenez, and they only have like 50,000 in assets.
Yes. That's like work. That's terrible.
While we're on the topic of the Altor, Snob, he may already make a holster. Do you make any holsters for hot glue guns? Because if so, you may already have one that'll fit the Altor.
I'm going to make a holster making video on the Altor. I just haven't got to it yet.
This ought to be
You won't do it.
Okay.
It's on my list of things.
We got a couple questions. He wants to know what firearms do you
find
they
real? Better than mine?
Easiest to work on. Much better than yours. Wants to know what firearms do you find are the easiest to work on? And then he also wondered, what do you find better for business, SHOT Show or a gun show like Wanamaker? And I'm guessing you went to SHOT Show with SAR USA.
Well, we actually went by ourselves. We always go by ourselves. They just invited us to be at the booth for the custom stuff we do for them, which was pretty cool. You know, we weren't expecting them to do everything they did, and it was really cool of them. I don't know. I would say probably a single shot anything is the easiest thing in the world to work on if you don't actually have to take any parts out of it. Stuff I see on a daily basis, though, I'd probably say like the LCP, Bodyguard, small little pistols like that. They just don't have a lot of moving parts. I think people get overwhelmed with them a lot more than they probably need to. And because people will watch the video and they'll email me and be like, I just can't. And we do installs. We do them in-house. But, you know, we try to save our customers as much money as we can, in all honesty.
I've got a follow-up question it's similar to that. As far as Galloway Precision goes, what seems to be the most popular area of Galloway Precision right now? What's really rocking? Is it the SAR, the customizing of those? Is it the holster area? Is it the slide cuts? What's really,
or is it the parts, triggers?
Yeah, or what gun is really popular right now from the aftermarket standpoint that you're selling parts for?
Well, right now our number one selling trigger is the Asmund for the G2C. And people are like beating me with clubs wanting a trigger for the G3. So that is the next thing we're working on.
Now, does that trigger for the G2C, does it help with some of that? Because that trigger, the stock trigger, breaks all the way at the back of the trigger guard. Does that help with that?
What we did is we changed, obviously, the thickness and gave the flat face. But by doing that, it added in some pre- and post-travel stop so that it breaks sooner and it resets sooner. And man, when we first came out with that thing, that was the first 3D printed trigger we ran with. That was 2 years ago, I want to say. And now we're printing so many of those things that we literally just cannot keep up. So we're talking to 3DEA right now. They print parts for Bighorn Armory for their lever guns, and looking at getting the Asmund 3D printed in 17H stainless steel. And because no one makes a metal trigger for that platform, for the simple fact that if you were to machine that, it would be easily a third of the cost of the gun itself. And that's...
How much does a 3D printed trigger cost for it? Just ballpark.
We're hoping to keep it around between 40 and $50.
And what's your plastic ones or polymer or whatever they are?
I think we ship them for $25 shipped right now.
So for $25, you can, and it's not a deal breaker, but you can fix like what most people's gripe is with the Taurus G2C for $25.
I'm going to be
amazing.
honest. I had my doubts about a 3D printed trigger whenever you sent me that one for the SAR. And I absolutely love that trigger. I have had no problems with it whatsoever. It's been a great trigger. The only thing I did was cut the little lip off the bottom because it didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But that's the neat thing about it being a plastic polymer trigger.
You showed me that. You showed me that one.
Off, and it's a great trigger.
Oh, yeah. And that's, one of the things we run into. And as a business, it's one of those things that's hard to deal with because there are some people that will flat out tell us it's too cheap. I don't trust it. And I
can see that. I mean, I honestly had my doubts about it whenever you were sending it to me. I thought this thing's probably going to be junk.
And my face looked like when Eric said we're buying a 3D printer. I was like, I'm sorry, what? We're doing what? The guys we've been making fun of were what? But the difference is we got Mark Forge printers. The material that we're using isn't PLA. It is a carbon fiber ballistic nylon mix. And the fiber machine has the ability to add fiberglass or Kevlar fiber to it for reinforcement. Now, the Kevlar for the stuff we do is pretty much useless. I mean, that would be more for like printing out small cut-proof plates or something like that. The fiberglass is where it comes into play because by adding fiberglass, we can add rigidity depending on how the fill works. So what started as one machine is now 4 and probably about to go to 5 or 6.
Now, you all don't offer slides, do you, at this time?
No, unfortunately, we don't. We've talked with some people, and it's a capability that our machine shop, CJT Machine, may have very soon. But on the same token, that's going to be something that's going to be like a year or so out because people think that we just come willy-nilly with stuff, but everything literally is planned out, believe it or not. It doesn't seem like it, but it really is. And we've got to have time to actually produce stuff and test it and fix it and then produce in mass quantity. And that it honestly takes time.
So I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. So do you have any new products fixing to come out that you can tell us about yet? Anything where you're excited about, you're hoping to get out soon that's public knowledge yet?
Well, there's the new Fat Man trigger where we changed the name. Posted it.
You named it after me. Sweet.
No. Well, no, because the CPX 1 and 2 are just slightly different from the 3 and 4. It'll have its own trigger that'll be the Little Man. Or Little Boy, sorry. Fat Man and Little Boy. So we named it after the...
certain something?
Yeah, the 2 atomic bombs. Well, you notice... Well, I'm the one who usually names the triggers. I sit there, do research, try and give it a name that people remember, and it usually works. There are some that have been complete and utter misses, but it's too late. I'm not going to make poor Charles change the entire listing because, it would be a waste of time. But now we're going with U.S. missiles. And so, missiles and bombs, armament in general. That's why the Peacemaker was the first one for the LCP. Now we've got Fat Man just came out for the Sky. It'll be up probably by the end of this week or early next. Trying to think of what the next... optic mount plates for the G2, G3 series. That'll also fit the TX22. The Sarnide optic mount plates getting ready to come out.
So, how does that mount on the TX22?
Well, it's going to mount just like it does with the small screw, but what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show in the installation how it's going to work. What we're going to end up doing is buying directly from Taurus the screws that come in the G3 now, and that'll come with all of them. That will be
really cool.
Because
all
then,
those guns.
Yeah, because they all have the same sight cut. And that's one of the things that helps us is when companies do that, is when they all share a sight cut across platforms, it makes our job a whole lot easier. Because then we're able to deliver what people want on a much broader spectrum. Currently working on that people are asking for. we don't currently work on.
Yep,
I get a
that's
lot
the question that. Oh, I'll read it out here so that it makes it onto the audio only. Is Ghost Tactical asked Brandon, what's the one gun that you don't currently work on that people are asking for?
That new Narrow, is that what it is?
Narrow arms? Yeah, NAROH.
Yeah, that's one that I get requests about a lot, believe it or not. And
well, you probably have to get one or two of those into the shop first before you could actually do anything with them, right?
I know, that's the big thing. Let's see. The thing of it is, we're trying to expand what we work on. I'm trying to push for more rifle stuff. A lot of people are asking for more rifle stuff, and that's just not something we really did a lot of. The offset AR buffer detent for 80% lowers, and let's be honest, Bushies and other low end production models kind of fell in our lap. That came from Chris Newcomer, who we work with closely. He works with Diamondback and other companies. He's retired now, but because he's retired, he just does that stuff for fun. And so his investor called him one day and said, "Hey, you're going to have to sell that design." So why? Well, if you made too much money this year, you got to file taxes. So we bought it from him. And it sold stupid well, like just really, really well. So I personally would like to see get more rifle parts. We are going to be doing compensators for a lot of rifles and stuff. That'll be the jumping in point, because CJT, the new Swiss machine that they're getting in, the machining capability that thing's going to have, we're going to be able to do some really insane, crazy stuff.
All right. Somebody G23 is asking about a company that's down the road from you. I went over there the other day and I sent him your info. I was curious if he ever contacted you. He's asking about the Cosent Arms guns, if you know much about them, which they're new. They're very neat, but they're in the same area you are, kind of, sort of, right down the road.
I've not heard of them at all, to be quite honest.
Well, he's really trying to get this thing off the ground, so he's been running and doing demos, but I was trying to put the two of you together because he's needing someone to make some holsters, because they make two versions, more traditional 1911, then they make one with a more European style handguard that's kind of squared off, and they need somebody to make a reasonably priced holster. I said, well, there's a guy down the road I know that makes them, so
yeah, definitely. We do have access to as well Snake Eye Armament. He's actually used to be the head machinist for Phil Flack, PF Customs. But he bought a house out in Mills River and started his own thing. So he's right down the road from us. Did a really killer job on a P90 for us. We had a customer bring us his P90. We got the barrel sleeve off and everything. He was explaining to us what he wanted, and we were just like, dude, we just cannot get to it. We don't have the time. And Joe was just starting up his, so we sent it over to him. And that thing, I'll have to get Corey to send pictures so I can post it up and let you guys see it. But the amount of work that went into it for the price too, he did it for $200, and that was getting the sleeve off, him cutting the part that he needed with the reverse threads for the barrel, threading the outer portion of it, rethreading everything so it could be welded and pinned, and threading the brake on so it was permanent, so it came out to 16 inches so that it could be suppressed correctly. And it was killer. Came out really well.
No, I was just over. I didn't realize you guys were doing stuff for Canik. I'd looked a while back, and I'd seen stuff for like the SD9 and the SW40, which I really don't. I've got both of those, and I don't really have any desire to dig into them and change any. Yeah. Even though it's a terrible trigger, one of them is out there on my lawnmower, and one is on my golf cart, and they're basically loaded. They're loaded with snake shot.
Yeah,
so I don't have any desire to put anything into either of those, but I do have a Canik TP9SF Elite.
Now that is worth working on for sure. So just definitely shoot me an email. I'll get some stuff together for you to try out. But the spring kit, I like the best, along with the Hefe trigger itself. I think the biggest thing that we ran into when we first did this stuff is you'll notice we don't do, everybody keeps going, well, the factory's sending a reduced power spring, the factory's doing this, the factory's doing that. And we understand that. But the reason that we went with the rates we did, and as you guys can find in the YouTube videos I did for it, and I'm just shooting into a blast box. There's nothing fancy, nothing special. And I'm shooting 115 grain and using a 24-pound spring rate. And it's cycling without a problem. I think a lot of people that had issues were two reasons. Number one, the way the guide rod is designed, if you buy ours, I get emails all the time. Oh, man, this is way too short. Are you sure this is right? Because it fits properly. There's no preload. The stock one goes like 1/8 of an inch to sometimes 1/4 of an inch, depending on the tolerances of the guns that we've seen. And it adds a ton of preload. And that's where you're not changing weight by adding preload. You're just messing up the impulse of the recoil. And so by just taking that out, we haven't had any problems. And most of the people who buy them don't have any problems. The other problem a lot of people have is their thumb placement with that long slide lock, and they'll get their hand under it on the recoil, and that's the big problem they end up with is they're riding that, it's putting pressure on the slide, and so they start running into misfeeds and things like that.
Yeah, that is a big slide lock on that thing.
It's massive. My problem with it is once I got them tuned and was doing videos with them and shooting them all the time, is I ride it, so I can't ever get the gun thing to lock open.
I can see that too.
Just banging away, and it's like click. Oh man, crap! You know. So that's my problem with it. It's entirely too long.
All right. So before Sarge gets his panties in a wad and gets to the lightning round, I have another question. So how did you guys, Galloway Precision and SAR thing come to be? That's kind of interesting, and it's a neat concept of what you all are doing. I know we saw a lot of that stuff at SHOT Show and stuff, and in our SHOT Show videos, but I really like what y'all are doing with the SAR stuff and all that.
Quite honestly, that was the year before just dumb luck, because the SAR USA booth was downstairs at the time, is where all the other import weapons always are. We come walking by, and I'm looking at the stuff, and I pick up the SAR 9, and I'm like, Eric, come here, check this out. And then Chris of CJT Machine, who does the majority of our parts, he comes over, and we're just oohing and on over this thing. And Todd had literally just got the job 3 days before and looks at me and goes, yeah, I just got the job 3 days before. I said, here's my card. We want to make parts. And it just went from there. So about 3 months after we got back, we got the first SAR 9 in, and it's just grown from there. I'm going to be doing a couple pistols for the NRAM show for them. So definitely keep an eye on that. And on this next shipment coming in, the K-12 and a lot of the other steel frame guns are coming in. So we'll be getting our hands on those.
That intrigues me, the steel frame guns.
They are pimp. The K245 is quite, and this isn't me pandering because, tomorrow the business guy, I'm not saying they will, but tomorrow business could go under. That's just the way the world works. So it's not being like, but their K245 is by and far my favorite all steel 45 right now. That thing is awesome. And yes, we do.
I'm going to pull an obnoxious for the people out there that are just listening. Kingpin's asking, do you guys have any law enforcement or military discounts? Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
We do. You will email me, tech, TECH, at GallowayPrecision.com, and I will tell you how to get signed up for that.
Well, that SAR 9 is really one of my favorite polymer pistols I've ever shot.
I mean, I'm not hamming it up in that video. That thing is an awesome, awesome pistol. The way that thing shoots, and it's because it can't flex. That's the biggest thing that I try to explain to people is, every polymer gun has flex. Every one of them does. It's just to the degree that each one flexes depends on how accurate or inaccurate it's going to be. That's why people, come across trainers, and Sarge can probably attest to this from his law enforcement career. If you can shoot a Glock, you can shoot anything in the world.
All right.
Because
I agree with you. And G23 has a joke he wants to ask you. I'm going to post it up here. There you go. G23 is asking, do you agree that 40 Smith & Wesson is the best round offered?
see, I think what you don't understand, sir. No, not at all. But
everybody knows that 357 SIG is the best round.
No, it's 22 TCM.
Of course, 22 TCM. The actual answer to the question nobody ever asked.
I mean, the 40 short and weak has its place.
Oh, but
and a CHP gun. That's about the only place.
Exactly.
Bringing it back, the CHP gun. All right, you
brought
ready?
it originally.
All right, one real quick question. You should really think about offering awesome parts for the third gen Smiths, and then we'll go.
Yes, bring them back.
What?
Bringing sexy back.
Some
to
spring
be quite
kits.
honest, we have been getting an insane amount of questions about that, and I think it's because
it's all from Snow.
Well,
because of all of us.
Well, there's that, but also AIM Surplus is flooding the market again with them. They bought a bunch of police trade-ins, and you can get them for like $300-$400.
Oh yeah,
we know.
I got the CHP gun because of one of my viewers, and he got one, and I just really liked the look of it, so I went out searching and got the CHP gun, and then I fell into a 5903 that was at my local shop, and then what did I find? 45. Then I found a 4506. And then I found a Chief Special.
Fell into.
Yes.
Searched. Scoured.
No, it was there. I went in there and it was there.
My 17th gun shop of the day I went into, and just all of a sudden there it was.
And there it was.
And then I found
it was like it was meant to be.
Yep. And then I found 2 Chief Specials, and now I have 5 or 6 third gen Smiths. And I got my CHP gun, and then Snob wanted one, and Sarge wanted one, and Gizzard Gary wanted one, and then Snob went out in 5906.
Yeah, I got a 4586, a 5906, and then a CHP gun.
And the thing I don't understand with Smith & Wesson, well, I do, because a different company bought them, and gun people don't run it anymore. It's CEOs with MBAs, but they had it right with the third gen stuff. If they would have just polymered that stuff, they wouldn't be losing so much market share right now. Where they've run into problems is the fact that their products have gone way downhill. And it's because, again, you don't have gun people running the company. You have MBAs running around going, we can save a penny here, we can save a penny there.
Well, if you could offer a decocker only conversion for any of those, the 5906, any of those, you would dominate the market.
You would sell one to me today.
No, he would sell 2 because I don't even have a gun yet, but I would buy the conversion.
I mean, it's definitely, if someone can get us some guns to chop up, we're not above looking at it. That's for sure. I mean, quite literally, there are parts like Daily Carry Solutions is a perfect example. The M&P 2.0 4-inch guide rod, people are always like, why don't you make the others? And we don't want to hurt their feelings and be like, well, because the guns aren't selling and they're not that great. But we did that because he wanted one. He sent us his guide rod, and we had other people ask him for it. So we based the whole thing off of his firearm. So I'm just saying.
I ain't sending my 5906. Maybe if I find one.
I'll find one. I'll take one for the team. I'll go buy one and bring it to you so you can develop it. I mean,
yeah, but he may cut it up in pieces and you may never see the whole gun again.
No, we won't cut the gun up.
Oh, okay, no,
just break it. No.
Just
all right, decocker only would be great. All right.
Yeah, I'd love a decocker only. Obnoxious, this is your time to shine, buddy.
What? This is my time?
Yep.
Am I the only one doing lightning round stuff? Is that?
Well, you got them wrote down.
You got them wrote down. We do not.
You've all got them written down. I texted them to you.
No,
all right. So here we are.
This
lightning round. No thinking about it.
To shine, Buttercup.
You got no time to think about this, Brandon. You just first thing pops in your head. Just say it quick.
Just
say
it. Say it.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Say it.
It is.
Say it and be done with it. First gun you bought.
There's so many.
There's so many first
at
guns.
this.
Lightning is fast.
First gun.
The very first gun was an Enfield.
All right. Coke or Pepsi?
Neither. I don't drink soda, man. I'm just not a big soda guy.
Oh, okay.
You're
Next.
so terrible. You're terrible at this.
I'm
All right.
horrible.
What's the last gun you bought?
Trick question. Last gun I bought. Oh, sorry, M&P 1522. I'm telling you, man. There's so much in my head. It takes me a minute. All right, come on. Let's 2 out of 3. We can do this.
Frankenberry or Count Chocula?
Oh, Frankenberry.
All right. Your unicorn gun. That's a gun that you absolutely, if you won the lottery and had all kinds of money, what would you buy?
Oh, a Staccato all the way. STI
right.
Staccato.
All right. This next one isn't going to work because you don't drink pop. But Captain and Coke or Jack and Coke?
Jack and Coke.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's times that
He'll make an exception when it's got
acceptable.
Make an
But
exception in drinking
just-
pop if there's if there's alcohol
Well, I
with
mean,
it.
like, yeah, pretty much. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
And there are no wrong answers, but you got that one wrong.
No. And
Your
in
favorite
all
gun?
honesty, it'd be Jameson and ginger ale.
Oh, okay. So you really got it
Oh,
wrong.
favorite gun. Sorry, I was still talking. Favorite gun's probably my EMP that I carry. I wanted that thing forever, and I love that thing.
All right. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Is the Slim Jim a candy bar?
No, it's jerky.
Who are you? Yeah, he got that one wrong too.
25 ACP or 50 BMG?
50 BMG.
All right. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Sure.
All right, you got that one right.
And I think that's it.
Nope.
My eyes are old
No,
here.
you had
No.
one more. Apart.
Yeah. Why are apartments so close together?
There was another one too.
There's another one?
Because people want to touch. I don't know.
No, that was all of them.
No, I added one. Remember?
Well, you added it. I don't have it written down.
Well, I'm texting it to you. This is your
Blaming the art
segment.
of doing things fast, which is
Oh,
not
geez.
at all
This-
what I
you
do.
guys,
All right.
have-
While
you
these
have
two professionals
no
are
idea.
getting their last question, anything else you want to ask Brandon? Get it in the comments because we're wrapping this up in a few minutes.
All right. 1911 or Glock 19.
1911.
Okay.
All right, there you go. You passed
There you go.
just barely. We had to
Barely,
grade you on a
barely.
curve.
You squeaked by. You graded.
Squeaked
We grade
by.
on a curve, and you're the first guest ever. So
So,
Yeah.
So,
So we
anyone
had to
else
establish
out
the
there
curve real
listening,
quick. And
After this, you're golden. If I'm the bar, you're perfect. You're gonna make it.
all right. So, any final questions and any final plugs that you want to get out there, Brandon? Anything? How can we find out more about you, about your shop?
Best thing to do is go by the website, www.gallowayprecision.com, and then the YouTube channel is the next best thing to see what
What
we're
is that?
doing.
What do we look up?
Galloway Precision on YouTube.
Galloway Precision on YouTube.
Yep. Same thing for Instagram and Facebook. Again, Galloway Precision. Pretty much anywhere social media you type in Galloway Precision, we're going to pop up. What does that say?
Kingpin would like to voir dire the witness. So
Just lost me. Not a secret. I mean, if you think about it, a Chicago dog is more of a sandwich than a hot dog. There's full-on pickle spears in it, and it's an awesome hot dog. So, I mean, yeah, a hot dog
No
can be a
ketchup.
sandwich. Or if you're poor,
here we go. Here's another one that I just
There you go.
because you said Chicago style pizza or the wrong kind of pizza.
This is pivotal.
I guess the wrong kind of pizza because I don't like eating 8 feet of dough.
Who are
I
you?
think-
Who are you? I don't
It's
even.
not
I don't
dough.
even.
Where's
don't
the
even
eject
know
button
you.
on this thing? Where is it?
Blame the
even know
army.
you
They
anymore.
ruined me.
First guest gets ejected. At
You
the
like
end.
that? You like
I
that
know,
cracker
right?
style pizza, huh?
No.
That's right. No.
Cheese and
more-
sauce on a cracker.
No, I don't like it thin, just normal crust. Like, I think the people in Chicago got confused with what pizza and lasagna are.
Uh-huh.
And
Next year at SHOT
that's-
Show, we're taking you out to dinner. on us one night to real good Chicago style pizza.
Oh yeah, we found the place.
It was touch and go after the Slim Jim. It really was. It honestly was, Rich.
Midnight's trying to give out a discount code. I don't think it works. But
no, but we will. We will be having a discount code here pretty soon coming up for hitting our 10,000 mark on YouTube. So when that's ready, I'll have that blasted out on social media. So, but that would be a hilarious code. Hot dog.
So let's just see if it pops up in people's carts this weekend.
Oh, I'm sure they'll try. Believe you me.
Give them like a sticker or something. Just something.
Well, and the thing of it is because I'm the one who answers all the emails from the website and stuff. They usually come through me because of the new system. And people get so bent out of shape about these fake coupon code websites. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, how am I supposed to help you? How am I supposed to help you because you got a fake coupon code off of some other website? That's
exactly.
not my fault.
And they get so mad at me, like, you don't care about your customers.
But with
and
this,
I'm like, it's not real.
But with this, you could say, well, I at least admire their effort because they used hot dog as a coupon code.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I will definitely run that by.
Put a Post-it note in there. It says, "Good try, champ." Something. Anything.
Attaboy.
Give them some patchbacks. Maybe that's it. You just send them the back off a patch, and if not, mail all the ones to Gizzard Gary.
I could. I've got his address.
Oh, please put that on the website. Please. To mail all patchbacks to Gizzard Gary. That would be so great.
I don't know. That doesn't sound that no. I'm not that mean.
All right, one last question, and if depends on what he picks, I'm going to eject goes from the chat.
Oh boy,
Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan?
Ric Flair all the way.
Okay, you're good. That's it. You're my new best friend.
Woo!
All right. Any other questions before we wrap this up? We're at the 58-minute mark. Snob, obnoxious. We got anything else? Because we can always have a part 2. I see a part 2 coming up because we only got to about halfway through this. So,
if all right, one quick question: if you've never installed one of your triggers in a gun,
where else would you install it?
Never mind. If you've never done any work on a gun, can you install one of your triggers in it by watching your video?
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Easily.
Okay,
Gizzard Gary can attest to that.
Yeah, and he did. That was one of the first things he said. That's right, Rich. Got to get that Ric Flair drip. But anyway, that was the first thing he said to me at SHOT. And people don't realize it. And I realize I'm a gregarious individual and ham it up and do all this stuff. But when people say stuff like that to me, it does let me know I'm actually doing my job right. Like, it does make me feel good because that's my intent, is to try and make it as easy as possible for the person at home to be able to do it with basic tools and what they got.
I got one last question. It's from somebody out in the panel. Is Ice Ice Baby an iconic song that everyone needs to hear?
Well, of course.
All right, thank
you.
Boom,
Rich.
Is Ice Ice Baby a song that everybody has heard, regardless of their weird street cred, where they claim that they've never heard it all the way through?
Everyone's heard it, right?
I'm pretty sure everybody's had to have heard it by now.
Okay. All right. And if they claim not to have heard it, would it be the weirdest street cred ever?
I mean, you might want to check that they haven't been staying in a mental institution for the past 20 years or so, I guess. I'm not
he makes a good point there.
There we go. All right. That's it. We're wrapping it up. We're done. This is Trigger Plus P. I'm Sarge. Who are you guys? You're supposed to speak now.
Just one.
I'm the gun snob.
And this has been Brandon. He's nice enough to join us from Galloway Precision. Make sure you check back next week on whatever podcast platform this is, be it Podbean, be it iTunes, whatever it is. And look for the new podcast. So thank you very much. Trigger Plus P. We'll catch you next week. Closing plugs. Taglines.
Put it on the credit card.
See you on the range.
Precision.com.
All right. Now we're off air. Or we're not really off air, but we're kind of
all right.
off air.
Podcast is cut out of that. Now we're in the post chat, so we can loosen up. Still can't cuss though. So
I like how
that was fun.
Like how Midnight Range said, "I don't think this guy would like a boring straight laced show like mine."
You need to go. You need to go check out Midnight Show if you're ever bored on a Sunday night. It is hilarious. It
Sunday
is a dumpster
night
fire, but it's funny.
Monday morning
/ Monday morning. About that time you might be waking up.
He's been known to go that long.
I can't anymore, man. I got too many kids. Got one of them that like halfway through the night decides she's got to come sleep in our bed, and she's only allowed to because she's 2. So it's not like kick her and be like, "No, get out of here,
get out of here, kid." Wow. Well, we got through the 60 minutes, no problem. Oh, you know what you didn't ask?
Who?
You.
Oh crap! I didn't. I had it all.
That's why we got to have a part 2. Don't even.
We can. Do we want to do it now or just wait and do
No.
it?
No. We'll have to have a part 2.
We were going to ask about the PayPal mess, and I forgot all about it.
Oh man, yeah, that'll be a part. I have sent that information in twice now, and still not heard dick from them. Nothing.
Still haven't got nothing back.
Nope.
Huh?
And we never will. The reality of it is we're not the only ones, and I guarantee you that we're not the only big ones either.
That's it has to be a violation of the law.
Oh yeah. Well, see, and that's the big thing, because the last person we talked to last year kept saying, "Well, it's for U.S. government violations," and couldn't tell us what they were. And so, Charles, who dealt with all that, I thought he is easily the calmest human being I've ever met in my life. Our webmaster, dude, is easygoing, laid back. I've never seen him get mad. Dude, I thought he was going to reach through that phone and strangle that lady because she just kept repeating the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, he turned it sideways. Kill shot.
Because that's how it came out of the box. But yeah, it's what's done is done. We wrote it off, and that's all we can really do at this point, because doing the right thing, going through the correct channels like they tell you to, they just blow you off. They don't care. They got the money. They're done. Because if you go back and I need to do an update to my people now. I've just been so swamped I haven't been able to. But I need to get on the Facebook page and bring up the original post, and you look in there and you see all these other small businesses that it happened to within the same amount of time.
That's messing with their lives.
Yeah.
What if that causes someone to go bankrupt?
Exactly.
It could very easily
because of their ideology.
Probably did.
Let me just crush people's lives because of we don't want to do this, so I'm going to just destroy you and your family.
Think about that, man. $16,000 is like somebody's payroll. That's all our employee payroll for a month or two.
There's a lot of companies that can't withstand that. No way could they.
No, that's like a deal breaker.
There were multiple companies that were commenting and on the YouTube video and everywhere it was put. They just did it to me and wiped me out. My, $5,000. I'm done. I can't come back from that. And I get that. I totally do. Because before Carolina Guns and Gear, or before working for Eric, I did my own thing. I had my own FFL, sold and worked on guns and all that. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. And a blow like that can ruin someone instantly. And they don't care. They don't care. Because
there's not a lot of businesses that could withstand that.
No. And believe me, it wasn't like, oh, that sucks. It hurt. It hurt bad.
Sure.
But, we're not the only ones. And we were able to withstand it. We're, big enough we can handle that. I say big enough. There's only 7 of us. That we're large enough as a corporation that we could handle that. These poor guys, boxer briefs. How about both?
Yeah, we'll ask that next time.
But, there were companies that it just wiped out. And the simple fact that they can do that and the government just goes, whatever. Instead of doing the one job they're actually supposed to do, which is protect the people from, terrible business practices like that.
Yeah. What do? You can't wins. I mean, you could probably win suing them, but you'd probably spend that much money to fight their expensive lawyers that they have on their payroll every day.
We would bankrupt the company trying to do that.
Mm-hmm. You know, you're better off just taking the loss, and that sucks. That ain't right.
No, and that's what we had to do, and there's just no way around it. And I really feel bad for the guys and gals that their entire livelihood was their eBay store, because I guarantee you nobody expects to wake up. I can promise you this. Nobody expects to wake up, go to work, whether it be in your home or you work for another small business, and hear, hey, our PayPal account's been frozen. They took all this money out of it. Because what people don't understand either about that thing is you don't get a choice on eBay until recently when eBay took over their own payments. They're offering payments now because PayPal and eBay split. So until
they did.
Oh yeah, they're not the same entity anymore.
Because eBay started PayPal, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct. And it's actually outgrown eBay. And so they have split. That's why, a lot of people that were, oh, you guys are idiots. Like, dude, that was in the middle of our busy season, and that was 1 week. That was a really extraordinarily good week right in the middle of tax season. And it's almost like they purposely waited for it to get to a certain level and then went, okay, now.
You never know. There very well could have been some underhanded practices at play, and they may have done that on purpose.
I wouldn't doubt it, because there were weeks where it would fluctuate, several $1,000s, but that was the biggest it ever been. And we always transferred it every 3 days. And so when our accountant went in to transfer it, it wasn't there. It was frozen. Couldn't move it. Couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're, for a lot of smaller business, if they had a few $1,000s out and got it held, even if they got it, but got it held from them, that could shut them down just in a month or whatever they hold it.
Exactly. And it kills me because, no matter what anyone's political leanings are, and I try to stay out of it as much as possible. Every now and then you'll see it on the Instagram pop up and stuff, but mostly because of what we do. We have customers from literally every single walk of life. We're a Christian company, and we have gay and transgender customers that will only buy from us. We don't go, oh, you're going to burn in hell. Number one, it's not our place to judge. That's God's place. Number two, that's not how you run a business when part of your business plan is to educate and help people. We don't, we're a business. We're there to make money. But are you going to make it over there?
I don't know, coronavirus or something. I didn't realize my camera was back on.
Oh, that was great. But, you can't really, and there are certain businesses that will stake their business on that stuff. And you see it a lot, but the problem then ends up becoming, once that's gone, what are you going to do? And you're also narrowing your customer base. We want as many people as we can possibly have armed and responsibly armed and knowing how their weapon works, training, things like that. An armed society is a polite society. We all know this. So the simple fact that they can dictate what you do online and spend your money on because they don't believe in it is absolutely ridiculous. And there's a reason, the Constitution, we have separation of church and state for a reason. We have all these separations of powers, even though our idiots that are on the Hill don't follow any of it currently. But we have this for a reason. It's to protect the citizens, not the government. And we flip that role to where now the corporations just do whatever the hell they want, and we have no recourse. Because buried in the legalese, it'll say, well, see, you agreed to this. You said you'd do this. And that's how a lot of these companies are getting away with it. And it's just sad that they find that to be okay. I mean, because flat out, we asked the last person we talked to on the phone, flat out, Charles just said, how do you even go home and go to sleep and live with yourself if this is what you do for a living for these people? You're ruining people's lives, and you're okay with that. I'm just doing my job, and hung up on us. Nope.
I'm sorry. I thought I had it on. If they did that to you and they did it to just say 20 other companies just then, it would, I mean, you could buy a house. They could have bought a house. There's no telling what kind of underhanded stuff they could have done.
Yeah.
And really had it planned.
Think about the simple fact that right now it's just, firearms parts. I get it. Not everybody agrees with guns, and that's their thing. I'm not going to push it on them. But let's say your thing is buying used ball jars on eBay, collect them, use them for canning, whatever. And then one day, your payment processor that you're using decides, well, we hate ball jars. You can't buy that. And they seize your purchase and they seize your funds. And then they decide, well, you broke this little regulation, and in our little legalese down here, we get to keep the money. Then all of a sudden other people would start getting mad. But it only affects something that a small minority, but very loud minority of people out there don't want sold online. And unfortunately, they also run these same companies that do this kind of stuff.
Well, it's backdoor gun control trying to make places go out of business.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at what happened with Justin Rowe in California. That was a perfect example. They sat there and they caught the guy making ARs with felons. And because his lawyer wasn't an idiot and looked at the regs and said, hey, you do realize since 1959, you have been completely and totally classifying the AR platform wrong and against what the ATF regulation actually says, which is the part that takes the barrel and the bolt is the firearm. The FAL is a perfect example of that. I've got FAL lowers, but when I go to buy an upper, I've got to do paperwork on the upper because according to the ATF and the definition, that is the rifle. That is the firearm because it's the part that goes boom. You can have a lower all day long. It doesn't do you any good. You don't have a barrel and a bolt, you can't make a gun out of a lower. And so he got off, and the biggest thing out of that was that the whole reason they let him off is the ATF didn't want to hurt gun control. They knew this would hurt gun control pushes. And I'm like, yeah, because literally anyone who has a Type 7 manufacturer and makes anything remotely related to the AR has known this for years and have been fighting against it. But now it's in the court system, so it's going to end up getting pushed to a level where the ATF is going to have to address it. But knowing the ATF, not that it matters because the Supreme Court decided what the idiot bump stock being, so who knows? What do I know? I'm a high school dropout. Everything. It's just insane. Sorry, I had to stop. I go off on political tangents on this stuff all the time, so I had to stop myself. Sorry.
No, I think we all agree.
Snob's laughing at me for it. I just don't get it, man. I'll finish my rant and then I'll be done. I just don't understand. I have to. I can't help it. People in our age group, we all grew up during the Cold War. Most of us are old enough to remember them wheeling giant CRT TVs into the classrooms and turning it on to watch the Berlin Wall fall. We've seen all the horrors of communism and socialism. And our parents dealt with it with their parents, our grandparents coming back from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and having horrible, PTSD and things like that. And yet they all want it right here. They want the exact same thing. I just can't fathom how people our age and older who grew up during all of this can turn around and be like, yep, let's do that. Sounds good. It just blows my mind. It really shouldn't, but it does. Now I'm done ranting, I promise.
Well, that now, you hear everything. You hear all them always playing on the, we got to be worried about going into our school and getting shot. Well, you know what I had to worry about? You know what I worried about when I went to school? the nuke dropping on the freaking USA.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't plan for school shootings. We planned for a nuclear attack.
They tell us to hide under our desk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hide under your desk.
It's so all that would just go right over you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're perfectly
over your
fine.
neck so you don't get crispy on the neck. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Snob knows what I'm talking about with tornado drills. They also act as the A-bomb drills. Put the book over your neck because, if a concrete building falls on you, that's going to
that book is that science book is gonna protect you from the 8 tons of concrete falling down around you.
Falling down on your neck. I can't understand it. And I know we're not meant to, and I get that, but I can't. It boggles the mind.
I just want to be left alone.
Right. Exactly. That's why the libertarian philosophy is so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take other people's stuff.
I want to leave you alone, and I want you to leave me alone.
Yes. That's it. That's the whole purpose of the Constitution. I don't understand why that's a hard concept.
Because it doesn't make people rich.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. Yeah. Well, that's why we made corporations people. They're people too now.
Well, sometimes they are people. When I had my business, I was an LLC, and I was people. But
no, you know what I mean. I was an LLC by myself too, but we're talking these mega corporations that, the government, especially Congress, purposely gave the same, rights and everything as an individual person because they were getting their palms greased by the same lobbyists from those companies. And everyone wants to, this will stir people up. And quite frankly, I don't care. I don't care if you're a Trumper, never Trumper, Obama lover. I don't care. It doesn't. What these people don't need to realize, it doesn't matter who the figurehead is. It doesn't matter who the president is. We need to worry about these politicians that have been in office longer than I've been alive in Congress. They're the ones making laws, not the president, not the Supreme Court, Congress. Yet we have people that have been there longer than I've been alive. We have Joe Biden, who's going to end up getting the Democratic nomination, who's been in office 49 years. But
he
Trump's
doesn't remember that, though.
No. Yeah. I'm Joe Biden, and I forgot this message. Oh, man. Yes, we do. Hot dog patches. That is where it's going to be.
It would be the Talk a Shot show.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a hold of Stickison and see what they can make. I can't ever pronounce their business name. Stickison. I don't know.
Don't get Snob to pronounce it. There's no telling what it'll turn into.
That's that dropout talking.
Hey, Brandon's from the same area I am. He probably is just as much of a hick as me. He's just kind of refined it since he moved to North Carolina.
And then he moved to Western North Carolina. That's not much of a step up.
Mm-hmm.
In Leicester, of all places.
I know.
Ugh. There's some interesting characters out here. I'll tell you that.
That's what you got to tell these guys. How do you spell Leicester? And wait. Snob, how would you spell a community called Leicester?
Leister.
Okay, obnoxious.
Leichester.
That's only because you saw it.
No, it's only because you said, how would you pronounce Leicester? Kind of probably the same way you'd pronounce Worcester.
A little bit, yeah. But we see it's Leicester, which is always super fun to have to explain to people how to get to my house when they want private training or anything like that. And I say Leicester, and they're like, Leicester? And I'm like, where do you even get the H for one thing? That's not even in there. But
you hear it one of two ways, either Leicester or Leicester.
Yes.
You could tell whether they live there or whether they don't. If they live there, it's Leicester.
Yeah. So if you don't, I think my favorite thing I've ever seen was one of the old Citizen Times cartoons that someone had taken and made a photocopy of and put up in a business, and it's this smarmy Asheville guy with his little the epitome of an 80s yuppie, basically. And it's asking this farmer, he says, how do you pronounce that? And he said, not Asheville. And I think that's the best thing ever. That's where do you live, Lester? How do you pronounce it? Not Asheville.
Yep.
Keep the hippy dippy California crap over there. We don't.
That is its own place.
Oh, tell me about it. And you know, I remember when I first moved here, I would run around with the skate gangs, basically, and Sarge knows what I'm talking about because, you know, the skater punks, we were a big problem downtown for like the mid 90s. And, but that was like the only time I ever saw like any seediness as a kid. And, you know, I stayed away from Lexington, obviously, where the hookers and everything are back in the day. But outside of that, you didn't really see it. But now it's to a point because what nobody understood, because they're mostly greedy and just wanted people's money, is that you want big cities, you end up with big city problems. And the crime rate has gone up exponentially around here. I'm sure Sarge is starting to see that out in Clyde and Waynesville.
Oh, we get the some of the drift over.
Oh yeah, because people are running out of room, and so they're moving on to the smaller communities around here. Because I think Snob can really appreciate this. Like, think of how like Carl Junction, Joplin, Webb City, Diamond, all those towns are small, close together, but within 20 minutes. That's basically Asheville, Leicester, Arden, Clyde, Waynesville. A cluster of little towns and one central hub being Asheville, and it's starting to spread everywhere.
And Hendersonville and all that stuff. But yeah, Asheville's the mecca of it all. Yeah. And it has changed tremendously in the last 10 to 15 years. Tremendously.
It really has. Because I joined the Army in 2000. And when I got out in 2006 and came home, just in that 6 years alone, it was a completely different place. And just watching it now, it's just, I don't want to say sad necessarily. Everything has an evolution, but the seedy underbelly part has grown exponentially with that, and that's the sad part. Just because there are certain parts of town where, you know, you're probably not going to get shot, mugged, or jumped, but they're not the place to be after the bars close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
let's wind down the post chat, and we'll talk off air. So, hey, we appreciate everybody stopping by. We'll get our podcast stuff established here in the next little bit. We want to get a few more episodes recorded, and then we're going to upload the first 3 or 4 online. We're going to do some more research on that. But if you guys, I mean, I know you guys want to see Brandon for a part 2. We're going to catch all that up on the podcast. But if you got anything, throw it in the comments under the video, not just in the live chat. Throw some comments down there, what you want to see, and as far as new guests, and we're going to start working on it. So, and
go over there and buy something from Galloway Precision. They're pretty cool.
Yes,
they have pretty cool stuff, and and you can tell he's a pretty good guy.
Oh yeah,
the face of Galloway Precision, that is.
That's face. Right. I know.
Like Obnoxious said.
Scary thing.
So, all right, we will catch you guys.
We couldn't afford a hot chick. So I'm what you get. We don't have gun bunnies. I'm what you get.
That's what happens when PayPal takes your money.
That's right.
That's your tagline. All out of gun bunnies.
Yep. All out of gun
bunnies. PayPal took our gun bunny money.
There you go. All right, we're out. I'm shutting down.
Later.
See you on the range.